Well, let's have a look at the athletes from the first heat. Matt Hudson-Smith, by the way, the European champion and bronze medalist at the World Championships, goes in heat 4 for England. There's the lineup: Geldenhuys of Namibia, Timbachi of Vanuatu, Antony COX of Jamaica, Solomon of Australia, Steve Solomon, watch him, Kumaraj of Sri Lanka, Desroy Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Shea Lara of Trinidad and Tobago on the outside. So with only 3 non-automatic qualifier spots, that's make the first 3 or you're not going to make it through to the semis is really the message. There is Che Lara, 46.92 man this year. He'll be running blind. His personal best was last year, 46.4. In lane 7 for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He's actually the national 800 metres champion this year. Desroy Jordan, the 21-year-old, best of 47.76 this year. In 6, Kalinga Kumaraj of Sri Lanka, 3 times their champion and the reigning champion. Set his personal best, actually, but back on the 23rd of April. He hasn't raced since the middle of June. In 5, the very experienced Australian Steve Solomon, 8th in the Olympic Games in London 2012. Remember that, 10 years ago now. A semi-finalist in Tokyo last year, and he holds the Australian record for 400 indoors at 45.4. Good athlete. There's Antony COX of Jamaica. Had COVID in Eugene, but was able to compete in the heats of the 4x400 for his nation. Came 3rd in the Jamaican Championships earlier on this summer. There's Obedia Timbaki of Vanuatu. Went out in his heat for the World Championships, the 19-year-old, best of 52.85 this year, and that is his lifetime best. And then in 2 is Ivan Danny Geldenhuys of Namibia, 21 in a few days' time. The South African semi-finalist in the African Championships in Mauritius back in early June, but he hasn't raced either since early June, the 20-year-old Geldenhuys. 46.4 his best this year. Remember, the first 3 go through by right, so he'll be right on the cusp of it, will even Danny Geldenhuys.
On your marks.
Reigning champion is Makwala. He's up Makwala of Botswana. Indeed, his teammate Babaloki Thebe took out the silver on the Gold Coast back in 2018. So the first heat of 7 then. In the men's 400 metres, Geldenhuys in 2, Timbaki of Vanuatu in 3, COX of Jamaica 4, Solomon of Australia in 5, the Sri Lankan Kumaraj in 6, Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 7, and Lara, Trinidad and Tobago in lane 8.
Set.
Well, qualifying from this should be a formality for an athlete of the calibre of Steve Solomon of Australia, but he'll want a solid run. He's in 5. They're right in the centre in the yellow with the greenish shorts, 4th from left at the moment, moving well down the back straight. And actually quickest away is Kumaraj of Sri Lanka, really quick through the first 200 in that blue strip. He's a 45.8 performer this year, but he leads at the moment by quite some margin. Solomon going okay right in the centre. Inside him, the Jamaican vest of Antony COX is moving well around the second bend as they come into the straight. Kumaraj has given 101% through the first 300. Now he's chased down by the big figure of COX, the Jamaican, who looks very strong for the last 50. Solomon follows him through, and he's under real pressure here for 3rd place, and I think he just loses out there to Geldenhuys from Namibia, who gets 3rd spot. It is the first 3, remember, who go through by right. And I think, despite giving everything for the first 380, it was nearly enough. Kumaraj of Sri Lanka might just have got run out of it. It was very tight at the line. No doubting the strong finish and fine form of Antony COX. Maybe a little bit frustrated after not being able to give his all in Eugene a couple of weeks back because of COVID. But he wins in 45.51. That is only a couple of clicks outside his lifetime best from earlier on this season. And Steve Solomon, 45.98, a solid 2nd for Australia. And it was even Danny Geldenhuys of Namibia who took 3rd place, 46.51. Kumaraj will have to wait and see, but 46.53, I'm not sure it'll be quick enough. Desroy Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a personal best for him. Significant leap forward, 47.29.
Oh, I was absolutely willing the Sri Lankan 3rd from the left here as we look at it to get himself home in the top 3. It was a really bold piece of running because he knew the likes of COX of Jamaica, and Solomon, who seems to have been around for a lifetime, made the Olympic final. Must have been a teenager then, back in 2012. The Sri Lanka knew that they would be coming and closing, and that he'd start wading through treacle towards the back end of the race. Geldon, who did really well to come through in lane 2. Good running by Cox, just off the podium in the World Youth a few years ago. So unlucky to get COVID in Eugene and not be able to perform at his best. It's a good run by Solomon there, and Geldon, who's out dipping Kumaraj. So the Sri Lankan will have to wait to see whether he can claim one of the 3 non-automatic spots. But remember, that's 3 non-automatic spots from 7 heats. Good running by Cox, 3rd in the Jamaican National Champs. Just to make it as any level of international in a Jamaican sprint event shows you the calibre of the man we've just been watching, just off the podium in the World Youth, and he'll be absolutely determined to remind everybody what he could have produced in Eugene had COVID not brought his aspirations at the Worlds to a premature end.
Well, there it is. You can see the fine form of Antony Cox. Bottom of picture. Working hard with the arms there. And that is very nearly a lifetime best. And I think there's considerably more to come from the 21-year-old. Solomon of Australia in the dark glasses. Moving well, and you can see the effort from even Danny Geldon. He's here, he is with about 40 to go. He's way back in 4th, but he keeps battling away. Kumaraj by far the smallest of the 4-inch shot, just tying up the stride length, going the knees not coming up over the final meters, and he just gets out dipped by the Namibian, giving himself an early 21st birthday present in effect. There it is. Antony Cox wins for Jamaica, 45.51, and lovely big capital Q beside his name. Steve Solomon likewise for Australia in 2nd place, and Geldon Huys of Namibia taking that precious 3rd spot by 4 100ths of a second. Sorry, 2 100ths of a second of Kalinga Hua Kamaraj of Sri Lanka.
Well, the crowd's been entertained.